Can you be a little louder? Can you be a little
Sir,
louder?
about, am I audible?
Yeah, hey, correct. Go ahead.
Huh. So it was the first question, and I didn't read it properly. I just thought that I have to give three examples, and then I realized it should be showing more about integrity. So
Yeah.
that's why it went wrong.
No
And
problem, no
actually, I
problem.
was doing my office work, so
Hmm.
that's why.
No
Sorry, sir.
problem. As long as you realize your mistake and you correct it, you should know what integrity is. That's it. Okay. Because these questions will be asked in the exams again and again, like not in the exams, in the interviews. Everyone will like, if you know the basic terms, they'll expect you to know other things as well. So just know the basics first. You need to have this basics clear in your head. Okay. So that once an interviewer starts asking you questions, you should at least know these things. Because if you are just getting if you are applying for an entry level job in cyber if you are going to enter as a fresher, they'll expect you to know only these many things, not the technologies or everything. Okay, so I am trying to teach you all the things which they'll think to ask to a fresher. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just in a minute, can someone tell what ISO 27001 is? No problem. Is someone answering? No one. Okay,
It
no
is an
problem.
ISMS.
Right,
Okay, it is
Vignesh?
an ISMS related. Hello.
Sir,
Okay.
it is like
Hmm. Okay. No problem. No problem. No problem. Mirvan. Yeah, I know it's a new concept to you all, and it might take some time to grasp. But let me be very clear. Okay. Open LinkedIn, search for cybersecurity jobs. The first requirement they'll be looking for is ISO 27001, either certification or have the knowledge. Okay. So I strongly suggest you to have some knowledge on ISO. Okay. Uh, you can, if you have free time, if you have energy and money, you can also go for the certification for ISO 27001. We can discuss about that later. But for now, yeah. So ISO 27001 is like the how to the industry standard framework for implementing information security management system. Okay, learn this word, learn this sentence. Industry standard framework for managing information security. Okay, that's it. Okay, and we discussed about the brand, like the domains in cyber in ISO. We'll cover some of these domains today. Okay, we'll take the interesting ones. Don't worry. Okay, and uh, so that is in on agenda for today. Okay, apart from that, we also discussed on the PCI DSS standard. Anyone care to shed some light on that?
Payment card interface.
Payment card interface, not interface, industry. Okay. Payment
Yes,
card
yes.
industry data sharing data security standard, PCI DSS. All right. Okay. So, what is PCI DSS? Anyone? Okay. So PCI DSS is the uh, payment card industry standard for securing the cardholder data. That's one of the most important uh, security aspects that financial systems and companies should have in place. So some of the companies like Visa, Mastercard, and JCB and all these companies discovered they came together and formed a standard. Okay, and most of the controls which are there in PCI can be mapped to ISO controls as well. Same is for HIPAA. HIPAA is for health, securing health data of citizens of the United States, securing the PHI data, what they call it. It also can be mapped to ISO and NIST 800 framework. Okay. So after that, we discussed about GDPR, General Data Privacy Regulation, which was like it's a European regulation passed in 2018 to this talks about uh, privacy and taking consent and right to deletion of data and right to be forgotten, talks about things like that. Okay, so you don't need to learn about GDPR as well. That's a assignment question I have uh, assigned it to everyone today. So you need to learn on all those things. Okay. Now, apart from these frameworks, okay, there is one specific framework which you would have heard about a lot. Like if you are interested in cybersecurity, if you read articles on cybersecurity, there is this framework called Mitre Attack Framework. Okay, so this is what a hacker or offensive white hat or gray hack or black hat attackers, the hackers, they use this framework to actually launch an offense and uh, like to get into the systems. So what is Mitre attack framework? Anyone has any idea about this? Okay, no problem. Okay, so Mitre Attack Framework is a framework designed by Mitre Corporation. Okay, and it's called the Attack Framework, Adversarial Tactics, Techniques, and Common Knowledge Attack. Okay, so this is used to for offensive security, like not offensive security, to get into the system, I would say. Okay, so this is like this model talks about cyber adversary behavior reflecting various phases of an adversary's attack life cycle and the platform they are known to target. Okay, so this covers like how a hacker behaves, what kind of techniques and tactics they use to get into a system. This framework talks about that. Okay, and okay, so the attack framework has like there are tactics and there are techniques. Okay, we'll talk about them. So this is the attack framework metrics. Okay, this is the metrics which is there. Okay, so if you see here, these reconnaissance, resource development, initial access, these are the tactics which is so in row one, whatever you see, okay, are the tactics which hackers used, and within that tactics, these are the techniques which are employed. Okay, so if you talk about reconnaissance, then can be active scanning, gather victims host data, all these things are there. Okay, it's a lot, you don't need to learn that, but just remember that attack framework is something which hackers use to uh, like get into the system. And this is the like whenever you have to determine what kind of attack happened, or if you are analyzing an attack and hack, you can go through this metrics and actually get the understanding. Okay, so we'll discuss about it more when we are talking about, we are covering penetration testing and yeah, this white hack, gray hack, we'll be discussing them later. All right.
Uh, so,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
so can you please give this links because it's not clearly visible, so we can go through it once. Just put this in our chat box.
Do that right away. People are actually giving answers here. I'm really sorry, I was not seeing. Yeah. So all these answers are correct. Okay. Curated knowledge base and model for cyber. Okay. So yeah, go through this link. You'll get all the information on attack framework. Okay. It's very useful when you have to learn things on how a hack happened, or how you can get into someone's system. We'll talk about it later when we talk about penetration testing and ethical hacking, stuff like that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have spoken on attack framework. Let's go back to ISO 27001. This might be a little boring, but trust me, this is the most important thing you should know when you are facing an interviewer. All right. Someone is entering. No. Okay. So which one should I cover? So these are the, you can see the list here, right? ISO 27 Annex A controls. Tell me which one would you like to start with? I'd go with that only. Anyone? Okay. If no one willing to, let's say,
Information security management system.
where's that?
Sir,
I don't see
cryptography,
it.
sir.
Okay, let's
A10,
go.
A10.
Okay, all right, A10. So yeah,
Cryptography.
ASMS you were talking about, this is a ISO 27001 requirement, okay? We don't need to learn this right now. We are talking about this thing here, ISO 27000 and NXA controls. Okay? So let's talk about cryptography. Okay? So what do you understand by cryptography? Anyone? All right, I'll go ahead and
Encryption of sensitive or confidential data, so no one can access that. Like,
okay. So continue. Can you tell me how our data is secured uh, when we are browsing? How do you know that the website is secure?
Sir,
Do you
HTTPS.
we can see in the means like website URL whether it
see?
is of HTTP or HTTPS. As of
Okay.
now, HTTPS is like a HTTP protocol, and S stands for secure in it. So it
Okay.
uses encryption in that, secure encryption, to encrypt the browsing means browsing URLs, so that can be not intercepted, and whenever it is intercepted, so the whichever data is in that URL cannot be easily understandable by the intruder.
Correct. Good answer. Good answer. Really good answer. So you are able to see it here. Whichever website has this lock icon means it is secure. Okay. It is secured through HTTPS. It has a valid certificate. You can see how many cookies are there, site settings, everything can be served. This is a HTTPS website. Okay. It's being, so this is like a secure website, what they call it. All right. So that is about this thing, security of browser security or the website security. Let's talk about security of data which is being stored in our laptop, in computers, the clients, like company data servers, and uh, the data which is in transit, like if the company is sending data to someone, some other company or the outside of organization, how are they securing this data? Okay. So the encryption and cryptography. Okay. So when you talk about, like, it's a huge chapter, like it's a very big talk. There is a, in engine, if anyone has done computer science engineering, there is an entire semester course dedicated to this subject. Okay. So it's a really big course. Okay. There are various algorithms involved, which and like RSA and SHA and all these things, like Diffie-Hellman, Diffie exchange, or what was that? Yeah, Diffie-Hellman exchange. Yeah, all those. There are like I think 10 to 15 big algorithms which are in place, which is used to uh, encrypt plain text data. Okay, so
Digital signatures also, sir.
yes, all this will be a part of this thing only. Okay, cryptography. So can someone shed some light on how encryption happens?
Any specific key is used for the encryption of that data, and only that owner and the another person which we are willing to communicate with will know about that key, and he will decrypt that data using that key.
So yes, your answer was correct. Let's okay. Let's talk about encryption here. Okay, we have the slides, good slides we have here. Okay, so this is a plain text, correct? So if you want to suppose send some confidential information to someone who is like far away, but there is a threat to this information being leaked. Someone there might be a man in the middle who's trying to in this information. What will you do now? You will encrypt this data. Okay, so this is the plain text. You will uh, apply some algorithm here on hello. It will do rounds, like there will be algorithm which will be run. Okay, and you will get something like this, the ciphertext, what is called. Okay, so if the plain text is let's meet for coffee at 4 p.m. at Barista, you apply some encryption algorithm to it. The encrypted text will be like this. Okay, so this will be the text which will reach the receiver. Okay, now this receiver will know which algorithm you have used to encrypt the data. He'll use the same algorithm to decrypt it. All right. So yeah, so this is how it works. This is a plain text message. Okay, this is the algorithm which is used. Algorithm will generate a cryptographic key and the encrypted message. So the cryptography, once the receiver has the encrypted message, he'll use the cryptographic key to decrypt it again. Okay. Now, why do we need encryption? Anyone? So yeah, it's very basic. Encryption can be required for authentication, for privacy of your data, for regulatory compliance, and security. Okay, so just learn these four things. Why we may need encryption. So security is very basic. You know, to secure your data, you need encryption. Uh, it's also required by regulatory compliance. All this you see, it's required by HIPAA, PCI DSS, and GDPR. These are regulatory compliance, mind you. So, and regulatory compliance needs to be followed. They are they are must, like they are like laws which are in place in those countries, so they have to be followed. So all the data which is being sent should be encrypted in those companies. So it's part of the regulatory compliance. So and it's also secure privacy of someone's PHI or PII data. Okay, and this can be used for authentication as well. We'll talk about how it's used for authentication later. Now, okay, from that, I get a question, interesting topic. Can anyone tell if India has a privacy regulation in place?
I think yes, it has.
Uh, the answer is no. As of now, we don't have one. Okay. The draft bill is stuck in parliament since the last 3, 4 years. It's called the PDCA something. Okay. Personal data collection regulation or something, PDC or something. Okay. It's not been passed yet. So it will change how we collect data, how who can access data. So all this WhatsApp and Facebook, it will change things for everyone. Okay, this is very controversial and still in debate. I don't know, it's not been passed. So it's an important question for interviewers who know, they'll definitely ask this. But yeah, India does not have it, and we are still using IT Act 2000 to deal matters related to cyber crimes and privacy and stuff. IT Act 2000 is the word. Just remember that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it like that iPhone does not get hacked?
Yeah, because they have all this end-to-end. They don't allow third-party apps. All those. They have many controls in place. Okay, because of which they can be jailbroken. Okay, but cannot be hacked. That is what they say. But I don't know.
Oh,
Like
but actually, Rahul, iCloud has been attacked right recently, and the
correct,
data
correct.
has been kept
Yeah.
on,
So
Tor
yeah,
sites.
when we talk about security in the cloud, that's a totally different thing. Okay, so iPhone is not hacked, iCloud is being hacked. Okay, so it's a data center which is being hacked, if you see, right? iCloud
but
is
we
just a
can
data center, right? It's a data center in the cloud, like that's it. So that was hacked. Okay, so they were able to get to the data center. Like we'll talk about AWS security and security in GCP, Azure, on and iCloud as well. So that's
but
what
recently they
that is
found
what is important when it comes. We talk about physical security, right? those will and that will become really important when we talk about this securing the cloud. Okay. So coming back to the topic of encryption, so there are two type of encryption mostly: symmetric and asymmetric. Hashing is not a type of encryption. Okay, hashing we'll cover after this. So symmetric is when the public key and the private key are they are basically the same key. Okay, whatever key the sender has, the receiver will have the same key. So and just remember this word. Okay, they'll have symmetric encryption where they'll have the same key. In asymmetric encryption, two different keys are there, but asymmetric algorithm is asymmetric encryption is more secure as public key and private key are separate. Its security is more. However, asymmetric encryption takes a lot of time because having two separate keys, it becomes difficult for the receiver to actually figure out the private key of the sender and uh, like this thing and access the information. So just points to be remembered here: symmetric key, both the receiver and sender will share the same key. It's an easier form of encryption. However, it's susceptible to hacking because they both share the same key. If the hacker comes to know of anyone's key, then he can like easily tamper with the data found, right? And intercept it. In asymmetric, that's not the case because both will have different set of keys. So finding key become difficult, and then however asymmetric is it takes time as well. So example of symmetric key would be RS. Which one is symmetric? Symmetric would be DES would be symmetric. Asymmetric would be AES and RSA and all those. AES is advanced encryption. Okay, so just remember a few names. Okay, how when it comes to security. Okay, AES, RSA. Remember these two. Just remember these two: AES, the advanced encryption standard, and the RSA standard. These two will be used when we talk about security of data at rest and in transit. So, and this is the if you are willing to learn more on this, it has like all how these algorithm works. Everything is there here. Okay, everyone is so silent. What happened, guys? Come on.
Nothing, sir. Nothing, sir.
Fine.
Fine, sir.
Okay. So when we talk about let's talk about when we talk about transmission, securing transmission of data from one entity to other. We used to have SSL security in place, okay, secure socket layer. Now it's outdated, it's susceptible to hacking. So people are using TLS 1.2 plus, like 1.2 or 1.3 for encrypting data in transit. So remember that TLS 1.2 is used when they send data from one entity to another. Okay, and to secure data at rest, like to encrypt data which is stored in your servers, your databases, you should use at least AES algorithms. 128 or 256 bits of algorithm is required. I'm just telling you things which you need to know. Okay, how they work and everything. You can go ahead and look into the slides. But yeah, I don't think it's needed because it won't be needed for your job as well. You just need to know which standards are required. You can just go and apply them on your computer as well. So yeah. Okay. We spoke about cryptography, how to secure data. This is the only thing you need to know right now, okay? That you can secure data in transmission using TLS or SSL. SSL is not used anymore, but TLS, and at rest at using AES 128 or 256 bit key. Okay, then there are tools such as for full disk encryption. There are tools such as BitLocker or which are those for Mac. There is some different tool. What was that? For Mac, it's I don't remember the name. That yeah, for Windows, it's BitLocker to encrypt the
Also
entire.
semantic endpoint encryption.
Yeah, Symantec is a good example too. That too is for Windows only, for Windows PC. For Mac, it's something else. I keep forgetting the name. Okay, I'll put it in the chat when I remember it. Okay. Apart from that, let's talk about VPN. What is VPN and how can it be used for encryption?
Virtual private network.
Okay, what is virtual private network?
Like it is a secured network between like like tunnel is there, a secure internet tunnel where the communication happens between two means client or server, we can say. Like in work from home we used the company's VPN to access the data which is in the which is on the system located in the company. So it is
Okay.
happened in a secure tunnel so that no one can intercept in that network other than the genuine or authenticated users.
All right. So, and what is the technology used in VPN? Okay. I'll talk about it now. Okay. So, internet, what it is, it's a public network, right? Internet is accessible to anyone and everyone. Okay. Now, your company has a dedicated internet network. Okay. Let's not call it internet. Every company has a dedicated network, right? If you want to access that network remotely, not from within the organization, but from your home or from a remote location, okay, your company won't allow you to access it through the internet directly, because that's not a secure means. Anyone can intercept the data which you are accessing from your company's network. So what they do is, there is a tunnel which they create. Okay, there is uh, sec- another network which is made on top of internet. Okay, where there is a direct connection from point A to point B, from your home, from your laptop to the company's network. There will be a and it runs on this network is placed on top of the internet only. Okay, this is called VPN, virtual private network. It's a network which is which is placed on top of public network. It establishes a secure connection between a remote client and a, uh, and a dedicated system computer at your company. Okay, and the encryption. Some a few very good VPN clients are Cisco, AnyConnect, then VMware. Then there are many, but these two I remember the names of. And uh, the security provided in VPN is through the technology called IPsec. Okay, it's like IPsec is the algorithm which is used to provide security and encryption in VPNs. Just remember that fact. Yeah.
So, can company trace our search history by VPN?
Okay, so that's a different thing. Okay, now okay, so I'm talking about company VPN. Okay, that VPN is used to connect securely to your network. The VPN which you are talking about is spoofing your IP address. Okay, so that that can be easily tracked if a company is willing to do that. Okay, but generally they do not. If it's a company owned device, they can. Obviously, they can. Okay, all right. And like cybersecurity companies have developed this thing to, like, it will take time, however it's very much traceable. Okay.
Okay.
If I'm
Yeah.
not wrong, VPN is also a server, right?
uh, can you come again?
If I'm not wrong, VPN is also a server, right?
We cannot call it a server, it's a network. Okay, like VPN is a server. You're talking about that VPN which we use in our phone to play PUBG if it's banned in India, correct? So
So,
that is like, you go ahead.
yeah, carry on.
No, so yeah, that is like, so what are the mobile VPNs do is they'll connect you to some server, they'll spoof your IP and it to and connect you to a server in US. Okay, so what happens is instead of accessing the Indian server of that thing, you will be accessing the US server of the same thing. Okay, because your IP will appear that it's from the US, something like that.
Mm, yeah, just want to know how the VPN works that's used in the company.
In the company, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so there are products called let's see, just a second. Okay. So yeah, how they work. Okay. So what will happen is your laptop, okay, it will have this client installed. Okay, now you will have to like select which network you want to connect to. Suppose I want to connect to FireEye corporate network. Okay, the server for which is in either my Bangalore office or it's in the US office. Okay, I have to connect to suppose the US server. So I click on FireEye US. Okay, I just select that which network it will be. It will ask for a host like you dedicated URL. So that will be HTTPS something like US FireEye.us or something. I'll be connected to that. Okay. Now this VPN, what it will do is it will connect you to that server. Okay, and it will make sure that the connection is secure, end to end secured. Okay, no one can intercept it in the middle. There will be a security provided via IPsec security. Okay, so it's using the internet, normal public facing internet only. However, a virtual network is established from point A to point B. No one else can intercept that traffic. Make sense?
Yeah, I understand, but the doubt is it's using the public network. Uh, and how come ISP cannot interfere in that?
How come?
Even if you're using the VPN,
How come? What cannot interfere? Sorry.
ISP, ISP.
Uh, ISP, like public internet ISPs. You're telling what
Yeah,
kind?
yeah, yeah.
How are they not? So yeah, that is what I'm telling. No, so using the technology, okay. It's like it resembles this using this AnyConnect or all these VPN technologies. It will resemble like it's a connection originating from the same place. Okay, it will resemble a connection which is originating from within FireEye. So it will connect directly. It won't need any. It will like replicate the same connection which is there. So
Excuse me,
I
sir.
yeah, I can provide you more information on that. Okay, this is what information I had. I can provide you
Yeah,
more research if you want to look up. But yeah, that is all the information I have on this.
yeah. I just want to convey one thing. Like you said, the VPN that we are using the server, right? As I said first, the VPN server, how it works is it works on basis of the system level, where the system gets connected to the VPN, so that the data travels from our system to the server through the process of tunneling, where the ISP cannot interfere, and from the VPN server to the data where it goes. In that place, there won't be any tunneling process. In this process, there is no need of ISP providers. Hello?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Thank you for the information. I did not know that. So thank you.
Yeah, in the normal VPN that we are using for the mobile or laptop that we are connecting, this is how it works. Like
Okay.
that, I want to know in a precise manner in that
Okay.
VPN.
I don't have much information on that. So
Yeah,
I
that's
just
okay.
know what I need to know to do my job. That's it. I'm really sorry about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. You can look up on the internet about that. I'm really sorry.
Sure, Rahul.
Yeah. Okay. So after cryptography, okay, let's talk about how about we talk about access control? Does it sound okay? No answers. I'll take that
Yes.
as yes.
Yes, yes, we can proceed.
Okay. So this is like the largest single domain in ISO framework. Okay. So can just unmute yourself, okay, and tell me 10 things which you have like one 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 person can tell me one thing what you have seen on your business laptops, like how they control the access, right? Start from password and stuff like that.
Can you come again?
Okay. uh, do you have any idea on what access controls your company has put in your laptop, people who are working?
Like yes,
We
we means like if we are using company's machine,
Mhm.
there is like they put some restrictions, like we cannot access some websites like
Okay.
YouTube or someone other website, third party
Mm.
websites, or we can't install any third party softwares in it without a prior permission, or
Okay.
we cannot attach USB devices or media devices
Okay.
to that laptop.
Hmm. So yeah,
Yeah.
all these are part of this ISO. They have done that because it's the requirement in ISO. Okay, in need to implement the ISO standard, they need to have those controls in place. Okay, so let's start by the topic talking about the most basic thing we discussed yesterday. Also, password. Right, every laptop, every device has to have a password. Okay, and unique like the requirement is 8 to 14 characters, all these caps and small, uh, all this are like basic requirement which is there in access management. Then they talk about multi-factor authentication. We spoke about that as well. Like you should not authenticate yourself into the system only using password. There should be some second factor also, like OTP or biometric or geolocation or something like that. So there is something called, so this is another requirement.
Two factor authentication.
Yeah, yeah, two-factor or multi-factor, whatever it is. Okay, so that is one more requirement. Then, so let's see how is password communicated once you join a company. How was it communicated to you? Anyone?
I was means when I was intern at Tech Mahindra, so
Mhm.
they means they communicated the password in the format of PDF format, like a document which contains my roles and the all the job title and all means information in that. So they told me to access one link with
Mhm.
a password, and then they told to reset it according to
Yes.
my.
Correct. So password force reset once you first log in, when you log in for the first time. That's also a requirement. Okay. So once they'll give you a generic password, the default password, okay, and you need to reset it or they'll disable it. Okay. So that is one very big requirement, that default passwords should be changed. Okay, once you first log in. And there is one more requirement, something called as like password and username should be communicated in two separate emails. Okay, then another requirement is password, like to reset your password, there should be like communication should happen which is like secure, like only only, how do I call it? It cannot happen via face to face. You have to like go through a mechanical like email system or something to actually reset your password. That is with
And
respect
so
to
also we cannot use the previously used password.
No, so yeah, that is also a requirement. Companies set like the set history to be like 10. Forgot remember 10 passwords, so you cannot use 10 passwords. Okay, the 10 previous passwords. They set expiry to like 90 days. Most of them like the like good expiry time for a password is 90 days. Okay, so remember that. Length requirement is 8 to 14. Expiry time is 60 to 90 days, which is a good like accepted expiry time for a password. Okay, then there is uh, complexity. Yes, we discussed about that, like one caps, one small, all those things. Then what else? What else? Yeah, password age, we discussed about that. Failed logins, let's talk about that. How many failed logins do you think should be allowed?
Only 2 or 3.
Okay, so I'll tell you what happens with the complexity increase. Okay, people nowadays are allowing up to 24 paid logins, and that is very much acceptable. Okay, so the norm is 5. They allow up to 5 wrong passwords. After that, it will be locked for 30 minutes. Okay, but however, I have seen companies which are willing to accept 24 to 25 wrong passwords because they know that given the complexity of a password, it will be really hard to crack it. So they allow 24 to 25 uh, this thing, 24 to 25 wrong passwords. So that is also a thing to remember. Like, and of that, how many minutes does uh, the system be logged for after a wrong password is entered? That should be like around 30 minutes is the standard time which people. Okay. Then a question to everyone. Once you leave your system unattended, what is the ideal session timeout? Like how many minutes after you have left your system idle should it be locked?
Within 5 to 10 minutes.
Too much, too much, too much.
Yeah, like in Windows, it is like 1 minute, like
Uh,
that
1 minute
time.
is the
So,
standard time. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Because if you are leaving your system unattended for 5 minutes, it's a lot of time to for a threat actor to actually go into your system and get information. 1 minute is a good time, right? Okay. This was all about passwords. Now let's talk about remote access. Yeah, remote access. We spoke about VPNs in that. Remote access should also be through this thing, multi-factor authentication and VPNs. Okay, remember that. Then, um, does anyone know about the clean desk policy?
What, sir?
Clean
While
desk
leaving
policy?
our while leaving our desktop, we should turn off
Yes, like any
the
object should not be left unattended. If you are leaving your desk, you have to
Okay.
log out your system or log your
Yeah.
system by
Okay.
pressing Window L, and you have to log all your credentials and everything. If you have anything written on the desk, that should be torn off or should be shredded so that
Yeah.
the
Sure.
data cannot be accessed.
Yes, that's a really good answer. Yeah, good answer. That is what it is. Okay, you need to have your system locked when you are leaving your uh, place. Okay, you need to shred if you have written down anything which is confidential, just shred it off. Okay, or don't leave anything unattended there, which has to do with company business. Okay, then uh, let's talk about who can have access. There are principle of access provisioning, okay, and access deprovisioning. So let's finish. We'll talk about them and finish this lecture for today. Okay. So their access can be provided based on roles. That's called RBAC, role-based access provision. So if you are a developer, you will have you will have access to this system. If you are a tester, you will have access to this system. So what developer and tester is a role, right? So you are being provided access to a system based on your role. RBAC, okay? It's a very important topic to remember. And then there is something called a need to know. You would have heard this in movies as well as like, so information and access is provided on the basis of need to know. If you need to have that knowledge, you'll be provided access. Suppose I work for some team, but I work for infosec team, but the engineering team needs to have access to my system, the infosec team system. He'll be given access because he needs it for his job. Okay, so that is need to know based access, principle of need to know. Then there is principle of least privilege. Okay, so least privilege is when you'll always give like the bare minimum requirement, or to, the bare minimum access requirement to perform a job to anyone and everyone, unless and until he needs like a privileged and escalated access. Only the least access will be provided, and this applies in case of admins and the IT teams which handle your computer and stuff. So yeah, that was relating to uh, principle of provisioning accesses. It's three types: RBAC, privilege, principle of least privilege, and need to know basis. Three. All right. Think we are up with our time for today. Let's close it out. Anyone? So closing comments. Anyone? Any questions?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
I am facing one problem on this assignment issue. Like I have submitted the assignments, like which were assigned 5 assignments, but in my dashboard now it is not showing, and also any points are not assigned to me.
Okay. So Rohit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I do not handle that part of the job, Rohit. Okay. I'll
Okay. Okay.
forward your concern to Bhav and Yash. Okay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they'll take care of it. Paka,
You can go to my academics and you can check their completed assignments. Go to my academics. There is completed assignments under overdue, and then there is ongoing, and there is completed assignments. You will be able to see that assignments and your marks.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.